Oh, hi, how are you? Prince of Positivity here. And I've got a few questions, and I'm hoping that someone out there can answer some questions for me because I'm a little bit confused. Um, Maybe I'm naive sometimes. I don't know everything, unlike a lot of people who seem to know everything. I mean, you look on social media in every aspect of it, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, or regular conventional media, NBC, ABC, cable news networks, and all that. Everybody seems to know everything. I mean, whoever it is, they're an expert on everything, okay? So, um, I have a few questions. So, my first question is what seems to be the reason why we are now trying to dumb down the American people? And the reason I ask that question is because in virtually, 30 states out of the 50 states in the union right now, we've got this issue on so called critical race theory, and we've got this issue of now not teaching true American history because people's feelings would get hurt. So help me out. What is wrong with teaching the absolute truth? That's my question. As I said, I'm sometimes astounded. I have a few answers of my own, which I'll eventually get to. But I'd like to open this up to you to help me out, help a brother out. What seems to be the issue with that? What's the real problem? Is it, I live in the state of Florida, so this is personal to me in my state. Fortunately, my kids are grown. So my kids coming through the Florida education system, the public education system, went to good public schools. My wife and I were very determined to make sure that they got every opportunity. And I can honestly say that they got good, solid preparation for life, so to speak, in their education in the state of Florida. From elementary schools, they both went to good elementary schools. They both went to good middle schools, and they both went to very good high schools. So, no problem. But that's my kids who are now grown adults. I'm kind of looking at this now from a perspective of grandkids and other kids who are now coming up through the system in this generation. And we don't seem to like truth anymore. And so I'm opening it up to you. What's wrong with telling the absolute truth, regardless of whose feelings are hurt? Because isn't the truth the reason why we teach history? So that we can see the mistakes of the past, we can see the things that people went through in the past, so that we have an ability to chart and go forward. I mean, that's what I came up learning. So what seems to be the issue with that? I mean, while you're thinking about it, please feel free to subscribe, like the video. I'd appreciate that. As well as, put your answers in. Now, one thing I will say, let's be respectful to each other, okay? Um, there's been, I mean, you just turn on again, as I said in social media, everybody's an expert. So when you have experts all over the place and everybody has some kind of hidden agenda that they're promoting, we're going to be respectful to each other here on this channel. You can be conservative, you can be liberal, okay? I don't care what color you are, I don't care what you look like. That's the beauty of social media and the fact that this question and the things that I'm talking about can be seen anywhere from Boston to Bangladesh, from Zaire to Zambia to Zimbabwe. I mean, to Beijing, China, or, Pakistan. That's the beauty of the internet. It's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. And so this message is to anybody. I'm just curious what you think it is, because I know what my thoughts are, but I really want to hear from people that are out there. You know, you can't tell the truth about history because your feelings get hurt. I know that in a lot of totalitarian regimes, they like to shape history because usually they're trying to hide evil. They're trying to hide the roots of their despotism. I know that, in more recent history, in World War II, I mean, there were a lot of people, both in Imperial Japan and in Nazi Germany, and during Italy and during their times of fascism, they kind of wanted to sweep things under the rug and say, hey, let's not talk about things like that anymore. Let's just move forward. Let's just move forward. In our own wonderful country, the US of A, we've seemed to have this issue. We're just trying to move forward. Let's just move forward. Let's just move forward. Let's not talk about the ugly things. But if we just try to move forward, doesn't that simply ignore and eliminate the truisms and the voices of those who were perhaps harmed by actions and activities that took place in this nation, starting with the Native Americans? Shouldn't we learn about how interactions with Europeans and Native Americans, some of the twists and turns that went in the formulation of the country? Shouldn't we learn about that peculiar institution of slavery? Shouldn't we learn about that? I mean, I can take it. I mean, it's not the most pleasant thing to think about. You know, the Chinese Exclusion Act, the Mexican-American War, all kinds of aspects of things. Immigrants that came over the centuries to the United States and how they were treated or mistreated. I mean, truth is truth. And for a truly educated person to be a truly educated person, the things that they think and the things that they believe have to be rooted in truth. I mean, that's what I was learning growing up. And you let the truth lie wherever it is. As long as it is the truth and it's objectively the truth, then how a person feels about it is secondary to the issue of whether it's true or not. And that's where I grew up. That's where my parents taught me. My parents were children of the Great Depression. And they told me the absolute truth. I had one parent that was born and raised in South Carolina. My other parent was born and raised in West Virginia. And what they told me was the absolute truth. And there were many good things that they could recount in their upbringings, in their interactions with other people, other cultures. And then there were some less than pleasant interactions that they had. But they told me the truth. Because they wanted me to learn, and then they wanted me to be able to teach my children as well. And I think that that's what I kind of despair of in this marvelous thing that we call the United States. I think that the United States is undermining its own ability to succeed. Because every time, and it's not just a cliche, when you try to crush the truth to the ground, it bubbles up somewhere. It's going to come up. And it oftentimes allows for, when you crush the truth down, or you try to, it allows for the same thing that happened, back in the day to occur again. Yeah. So once again, I did mention that I do reside in the state of Florida, and I'm just trying to get some interaction. As to what you think. It's not just in Florida. Pick a state, Texas, and everybody's talking about we don't want to be woke. I mean, what does that even mean, woke? You know what I mean, woke? And that they don't want indoctrination from the left. I don't want indoctrination from the left either. I don't want want indoctrination from the right either. What I want is just the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Let it sit where it is, wherever that truth is. And then we all, as adults, be indoctrinated by real truth. And then how we feel is secondary. And isn't that indoctrination when you say we can't teach the whole truth because one group of people are going to feel bad about it? I mean, my brothers, my Jewish brothers, consider most men my brothers. Don't they teach about the Holocaust still? I mean, that was 70 years ago, 80 years ago. Why can't we just turn the page? Blah, 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 blah. No. You continue to learn about it because you don't want these things to happen again. Right? My Armenian brothers talk about the Ottoman Empire at the turn of the 20th century. They talk about many of the atrocities that took place. They don't just sit there and say, no, we can't talk about it. I mean, pick a place in the world. Although we are trying to move forward in more modern times in Africa, and some of the things that happened in Rwanda between the Hutus and Tutsis. No, you don't sweep it under the rug. You look at the ugliness of whatever your history was so that you can learn from it, teach the truth to the new generations that's coming up that didn't live through it necessarily, so that you can generally chart a course forward. So, where does that leave us here? I mean, like I told you, I live in Florida. No disrespect to my Cuban brethren, but a lot of my Cuban brethren that are, shall we say, a little bit more conservative, seem to be on this anti-woke bandwagon. Don't teach the truth, because, people, you're trying to indoctrinate my kids, blah, blah. But don't we always talk about Castro? No Castro, no problem. I mean, I've been living here for years. We always talk about Castro. We always talk about Cuba. And rightfully so. We should. Like I said, I'm for the whole truth. But I don't sit there and tell you to get over the fact that Batista was a despot, and then there was a revolution, and then you had another despot take over from the despot, who was Castro. Those things are real. Those things really happen, and they have an effect on families, and they have an effect on the life proceeding out of those epochal moments in your history. And you're still living with certain aspects of it today. Those are truths. That's why it's legitimate to talk about Cuba and Cuban history, right? So, in a greater sphere, that's how we should deal with American history. As far as I can tell, you tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yeah. So, well, one thing I am excited about in answer to this question, because I'm still waiting for some clear, non-selfish reasons. You telling me that, well, I don't want to be woke. Well, you don't even know what woke means. I feel bad. Well, feel bad or not feel bad is not a good reason not to tell the truth. Remember, truth is what we're supposed to be about in this nation if we're going to go forward. So, again, subscribe, and send me your answers, send me your responses so that I can respond right back to you. I promise I will. But I'm excited about organizations in the public sphere. There are renewals with HBCUs to teach the absolute truth of American history. There are nonprofit organizations that have banded together in churches all across the state, and interestingly enough, all across the nation now, that are going to teach the truth of American history. There are educators like myself who have made it I guess you could say, their magnum opus, their life's work to make sure that they tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as far as American history. I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased to see that. There are other non-profit and for-profit organizations that are too numerous to mention that have popped up and just said, this is ridiculous. We're going to make sure that the students who are coming up now, this modern generation, whether they be elementary, middle school, high school, and adults as well, have an opportunity to learn the truth of the nation that they live in. Because as good citizens, as people who want to move forward in the best way possible, the only way we can do that is come from a basis of truth. Again, this is not about being conservative or liberal. Politically, I'm an independent. I'm a registered independent. And that's right. The Prince of Positivity is a registered independent. So if you've got good ideas for the nation, I'm more than willing to listen. I don't have a dog in this fight. As far as Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, left, right, it's all absurd anyway. I mean, what was that? I think it was Abraham Lincoln said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. That's what I'm concerned with for this nation. I see it crumbling around the edges. You know, there's so much of a fight for the so-called soul of this nation. Everybody wants to present their version of the truth and have that be the law writ large. So, how are we going to move forward? What do you think? What are we going to do? I don't know. In some ways, I'm excited about the future. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there that are active and trying to make sure that the truth will rise. But then there are still so many people that are so wrapped up in their own private, personal agendas that they're trying to crush that truth. So, where do you stand? I hope that whatever your background, black, white, yellow, red, brown, doesn't matter to me. Whatever your political ideologies I just mentioned to you, that I don't care. Let me know what you think. Help me solve this. I mean, I'm the Prince of Positivity. I do things right here on this channel out of a sense of hope for the future. I know where my hope lies. Where does yours lie? Or do you have hope for the future? That wasn't one of my questions, but I think that's something that's pretty interesting. All right, well, what do you think? I hope that you'll like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be here pretty much every day, 5-6 days a week, expressing some of my thoughts, some of my witticisms and wisdom, such as it is. Like I said, I don't have a axe to grind against anybody. I do believe in certain things, though. Truth, justice, things of those natures. I do believe in that. And I'm hoping to meet with people that kind of believe in that too. But also, I'm open to listening to you, even if you don't believe in those things, if you think those things are just sort of foreign concepts. But as I said, I'll be right here. I'm willing to listen, and I'd like to engage with you. So tell me what you think. Me? No. I am the Prince of Positivity. And for now, I'm out.